Welcome to the Diet Starts Never podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Nigro, aka Coach Rach. This podcast will teach you how to live your healthiest life in and out of the gym and put yourself first again. Oh, and we get long-lasting results here. I've made it my mission to help my clients ditch the diet mentality and heal their relationship with food and themselves. After transforming hundreds of bodies and minds, it's your turn. Are you ready? Hey guys, Coach Rach here. This podcast is intended to inspire, educate, and support you on your health and fitness journey. I am not a medical doctor and cannot give any professional medical advice. If you are suffering from any kind of medical condition, whether it's mental or physical, please seek help from a qualified health practitioner. Hey guys, how are you? We're here for episode 40 of Diet Starts Never. Today we are covering a topic that almost every single woman complains about, and it's being bloated. Believe it or not, you are not supposed to feel bloated 24/7. But unfortunately, I hear a lot of women say that they are. It's actually one of the most common complaints when a new client comes to work with me. It's, I'm so sick and tired of feeling bloated all the time. That's miserable, you guys. So being bloated, as we know, is one of the worst feelings, especially when wearing a tight outfit or a pair of jeans, because it just makes you feel horrible in your clothes and your body. It hurts your self-confidence, which we don't have time for. We are here to feel good and confident all the time. I am telling you right now that you should not feel bloated all the time. Also, you should not be having diarrhea every time you go to the bathroom, and you should not be going to the bathroom only once a week. These are all signs of poor digestion. So in order to understand how to ditch the bloat, we need to talk about digestion, and we're going to need to talk about bowel movements. In today's episode, we're going to cover the role of the digestive system and how to optimize your own digestion. We're going to cover how bowel movements play a role in digestion and bloat, because I know we don't want to talk about it. I'm sorry if you get a little skeevy about it, but we've got to. We need to address the elephant in the room. Common causes of bloat we'll go over that you may be missing, and then we're going to talk about interventions for improving digestion and bloating. Okay, let's see. I think we're going to start with digestion because we need to kind of understand how the digestive tract works. So the digestive system is made up of the gastrointestinal or GI tract, the liver, the pancreas, and the gallbladder. The organs that make up the GI tract are the mouth, the esophagus, stomach, your small and large intestines, and the anus. Digestion starts when your food hits your mouth, and then it ends when we have a bowel movement. So food moves through our GI tract, and it's broken down by movement and digestive juices. So digestive juices are like your stomach acid, your bile, your digestive enzymes. I'm sure you already know this, but gut health is so important. About 70% of your immune system actually lies in your gut. So the digestive system plays a role in immunity, as well as thyroid health, the endocrine/hormone system, and your neurological health. I say it all the time, guys, that brain-gut connection, that stomach-mind connection, the mind-gut connection. So poor digestion can affect your anxiety. It can lead to depression. It can affect your mood, your sleep, and so on. And I really hate reading off to you lists of symptoms, but there might be a symptom or sign of poor digestion that you don't even realize is related to your digestion. So I'm going to read it off anyway. Obviously, we know that chronic stomach aches, abdominal cramps, and pain is a sign of poor digestion, right? Something's going on inside your stomach. Changes in bowel movements and frequency, chronic constipation and or diarrhea. Like I said, you should not be constipated all the time. You should not be going to the bathroom once a week. Bloating and or distension of the abdomen is a huge sign of a digestive issue. Fullness for an extended amount of time after eating, burping and belching frequently, a sour taste in your mouth, mucus, blood, or undigested food in the stool, foul smelling stool, nausea, indigestion, acid reflux and heartburn, stomach pain after eating, more than 3 large bowel movements per day, pain when passing a bowel movement, chronic fatigue, tiredness. We're almost done, I promise. Keep listening. I want you paying attention to this. Dependency on an antacid for heartburn or acid reflux. We shouldn't be having to rely on that. A vaginal yeast infection, believe it or not, is a sign of poor digestion. Headaches after eating, irregular bowel movements, like I said, more than 3 times a day, but also less than 3 times per week, acne, rashes, and so on. All signs of poor digestion. In addition to that, some things you might say to yourself is, oh, I'm always bloated after I eat. My stomach is hard as a rock. It's painful. I've only had 2 BMs this whole week. BMs are bowel movements. And everything I eat is going right through me. We've all been there. So what causes poor digestion? If we know the cause, we can probably try and come up with some kind of solution, right? So an intolerance or sensitivity to certain foods, so lactose, gluten, nightshade vegetables, any kind of digestive diseases. We know that Crohn's disease, diverticulitis, celiac disease, pancreatitis, gastritis, gastric ulcers, hernias, and so on. Absorption, so your body's inability to absorb nutrients from your food. Cancer or chemotherapy play a role in poor digestion. Infections and bacteria, medications. If you're on a certain medication or a certain antibiotic, that's going to affect it. Irritable bowel syndrome. Oh my goodness, IBS. Stress can cause poor digestion. That plays a really big role in digestion. We'll get into that. And intestinal permeability, which is also known as leaky gut. So obviously, if you're bloated all the time, there is something wrong with either your digestion or you're doing something that is causing the bloat. So shifting into bloat, don't worry, we're going to circle back onto how to optimize digestion. It's all going to tie in together. Bloating is when your abdomen feels tight or swollen. It's usually after eating or drinking. But like I said, I'm getting a lot of complaints that this is going on always for some people. That constant feeling of bloat is not normal, you guys. I don't know about you, but I feel like breathless when I'm bloated. It sucks. It's the worst feeling when you overeat and you feel like you have to unbutton your pants, and experiencing that all the time. No bueno. So there is a long list of common causes for bloating. I'm going to read every single one. So make sure you're paying attention because you might not even know this is affecting you. So food allergies and food sensitivities, we know. Any kind of stomach acid issues, poor gut flora, antibiotics, too much or too little fiber, artificial sweeteners can cause bloat, eating too much, eating too quickly, we already know that, not chewing your food adequately. So like something as simple as chewing a bit more can help. Using straws too often. So if you're drinking out of your Stanley straw every single day, that can cause bloat. Eating fried or really salty foods, we know. Chewing gum can cause bloat. Hormone fluctuations, indigestion, constipation, smoking can cause bloat. Medical conditions, we kind of already covered. Poor sleep, medications, stress, cruciferous vegetables, and carbonated beverages. These are all signs or all things that can cause bloat. And a lot of people think it's just something to do with eating, but it's much, much more. Being tired can cause bloat, just to give you another example. So I want to make a note. There is a difference between food intolerances and food allergies. An allergy to a specific food is an immune response. It has to do with your immune system that occurs because your body thinks that food is harmful, which obviously this can be life-threatening if not treated, versus an intolerance to a food occurs in the digestive tract and does not involve an immune response. So just for example, broccoli makes me bloated and gassy. That's a food intolerance, where peanut butter may put somebody in the hospital if they are allergic to it. So before we jump into interventions, let's make a little pit stop at bowel movements. I know this isn't something you want to talk about, so I apologize if this is not what you want to hear or if it makes you uncomfortable, but we've got to address it because it's important. It plays a really big role in not just your health, but it plays a big role in weight loss too. If I have a client who's not going to the bathroom consistently, I'm not even going to ask their body to lose weight. It plays such a big role in weight loss. But rewind even more, healthy bowels, I've just covered everything that digestion plays a role with. Think healthy bowel movements do the same. So, what makes a healthy bowel movement? Ooh, fun question. We want it to be brown in coloring. We want it to be log shape. We want it to be easy to pass, and we want it to be somewhere between firm and soft. So the question on everybody's mind, how often should I poop? Well, it ranges. It ranges depending on the person. It can range from every other day to 3 times a day. Your normal will be different than someone else's, but most people will have a consistent BM pattern daily. I personally think somebody should be a healthy bowel movement pattern for somebody should be anywhere from like 1 to 4 times a day. Minimum once a day. We should be going to the bathroom every day. If you're somebody who doesn't, we're going to give you some tips on how to do that. But like I said, you should not be going to the bathroom once a week, and it should not be pure liquid every time you go. If you can relate to that, or if you can't relate to that, rather, God bless you. But a lot of my clients, believe it or not, struggle with this. This obviously doesn't pertain to you if you are diagnosed with a condition, but you can absolutely take this information to optimize it if you are. So, what affects your bowel movement? Your diet, hydration, your age, excuse me, your activity level, and obviously any medical conditions. I can go into way more detail about BM shape and consistency, what it means, but I'm going to spare you guys on this episode. Just DM me if you want the dirty deets. Anyway, back on route. So let's dive into interventions for improving digestion. I don't know if you can hear my little piglet in the background snorting for attention, but she is. So there are 3 things to consider when trying to optimize bloat and digestion. These are the first 3 things I want you to consider. If these 3 things aren't under control, yeah, you're going to be bloated and have a poor digestive system. So, number 1, fiber. Number 2, water. Number 3 is stress. Let's dive into deep. Fiber. Everybody will have a sweet spot with their own personal daily fiber. For those who have trouble with digestion, I usually see they are either eating too little fiber or too much fiber. And believe it or not, too little or too much can both affect bloat. The daily recommended fiber intake for women is 25 grams per day, and for men, it's actually 38 grams per day. Some people may be great, or some women rather, may be great with 25 to 30 grams, when others may need 35 to 40 grams. I'm not going to dive too deep into types of fiber. I lined up an episode actually to record to cover this, but you can find your fiber mainly in your fruits and veggies and grains. So if you are not eating a lot of fruits and vegetables and you're not going to the bathroom consistently, let's start by adding some of those in. If you are going to the bathroom pure liquid every time you go, then I would suggest paying attention to your cruciferous vegetables. So like your dark leafy veggies, like your broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, things like that. And we'll get into more on the fiber episode, but I don't want to overwhelm you guys with it. Just start paying attention to it if this is something you're struggling with. Next up, we have water. I don't think people realize what a role water plays in digestion. It helps food move through the digestive tract, and it helps prevent bloating and constipation because it softens stool and it lubricates the GI tract. If your body is dehydrated, it's going to be bloated and it's going to be constipated. We need that water to pass that bowel movement. So I want you to shoot for at least 2 to 3 liters a day, but I always say a minimum of 100 ounces. You can get more water in through like hydrating foods too, such as watermelon, zucchini, soups, cucumbers. But basically, drink your water, you guys. It plays a really big role in not just your digestion, but again, your physique. If you want to feel good, you need to be hydrated. Finally, we're going to cover stress. Did you really think that stress could affect your bloat? So when the body perceives periods of chronic stress, or periods of stress in general, stress hormones such as cortisol and adrenaline are released through our bodies. Over time, this can lead to many health problems such as gut inflammation, anxiety, chronic pain. To handle this, our body's equipped with a stress-fighting weapon called the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve works to counterbalance our fight or flight response. So it's our calming nerve, triggering relaxation in and out of our bodies. We can stimulate the vagus nerve by deep, slow belly breathing. So big depth breaths in through your mouth, letting your stomach completely expand, and then exhale, letting all of that air out of your stomach. We can get stimulated through foot massages, loud singing. I'm sorry, that was horrible. Eating fiber and laughter. High stress, it leads to constipation because it activates the sympathetic nervous system, which slows down motility. Motility is basically how quickly, like your speed of digestion, so how quickly your food comes from your mouth out of you, for lack of a better term. So obviously decreasing overall stress will help with motility, but you can try taking deep breaths before eating and avoid eating immediately before or after a workout. Excuse me, you guys. I apologize. Let's talk about stress and bowel movements a bit more. It works the other way too, for if it can work to constipate you, but it can also work to give you diarrhea. There was one time in my life where I was so horribly stressed, so anxious every single day, and I could not keep anything inside me. Everything I would eat would come right through me in pure liquid form. I'm sorry, TMI, but like that just goes to show you how serious the mind gut connection is because of that increase in anxiety of what I was experiencing in that time. It was causing my body to just empty out everything. And in return, I was bloated because of how quickly I was passing through. My body wasn't absorbing any nutrients I was actually eating. I spent so much time at the GI doctor, and it was miserable. So I want you to think about that too. So let's say fiber, water, and stress have been addressed and you still are feeling bloated. You're experiencing poor digestion. Then we can look into other culprits. Think like sleep, exercise, your caffeine use, how often you're drinking carbonated drinks. If you're having carbonated drinks, bubbly drinks every single day, it's going to make you bloated. High amounts of artificial sweeteners, greasy foods, or sugar foods, and an overconsumption of alcohol. You can also pay attention to your meal timing and nutrients. So, for example, adding fats and fiber to a meal will help slow digestion. My whole topic of this month on Instagram right now is about blood sugar. So, I definitely want you to pay attention to that. But this kind of plays a role too. Not just adding fats and fiber to a meal won't just slow down digestion, but it'll slow down absorption. So we're making sure we're absorbing the nutrients we're eating. So something as simple as adding eggs to egg whites and swapping white bread for whole wheat is a prime example. We also want to make sure we're leaving adequate time for digestion between meals, because that plays a role as well. If you're feeling bloated but are constantly snacking on incomplete meals throughout the day, having a complete meal can really help. You're getting that bloated feeling is because you're not giving your body enough nutrients in a sitting to even like break down and absorb. So it's going to go and try to break it down, and it's not going to have something even sufficient to. And then two, what was my other point for having small snacks? I lost my train of thought, but constantly snacking, complete meals throughout the day. I lost my train of thought. Anyway, moving on. So if all of these are checked off and you're still struggling, then it's time to see a doctor. I definitely would recommend seeing a doctor way before all of this happens, because chronic digestive issues is an issue. Finally, I just want to cover some common foods that may be causing digestive problems. They may be causing bloat. They may be causing discomfort. Lactose or dairy. Whey protein contains dairy. So if you're having a protein shake every day, it could be making you bloated. For me, sorry, this is TMI, like cheese, it makes me so constipated. It causes so much discomfort. Like I had a turkey burger Saturday night and it had 2 pieces of American cheese on it, and I couldn't go to the bathroom the next day. And then the next day I had a piece of pizza like light cheese on it. And again, like I couldn't go to the bathroom the next day. So it backed me up for 2 days, which put a lot of stress on my digestive tract. And I'm not saying this to give you guys TMI, but it's just more information. Gluten. A lot of people believe they are gluten intolerant when really you're just experiencing poor digestion from something else. So, for example, if you have a piece of pizza and you're not digesting it well, oh my God, these tongue twisters. And you may say, like, oh, I'm gluten intolerant because you're constipated after eating it. But really, you're probably constipated from the cheese. A gluten intolerance will leave you feeling more lethargic and mind foggy than constipated or having trouble digesting. Anyway, eggs actually play a big role. Believe it or not, if you're constipated, eggs can make it worse. We already know artificial sweeteners because we talked about it. Cruciferous veggies, they are very high in fiber and they just are harsh on the stomach. So Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, your nightshade vegetables, peppers, onions, tomatoes, eggplants, they're very high in acidity. So a lot of people have trouble digesting them. Garlic, unfortunately, this includes garlic powder or seasoning too. Beans, oof, I do not eat beans. Fructose, it's found in many fruits such as apples, watermelon, and grapes. Yes, it is natural, but we can still avoid it when we're trying to heal our digestive system. And nuts and seeds. And that's it, guys. We just covered about 20 minutes of talking about bloat, digestion, fiber. I want to know your thoughts on this episode. Did you have any aha moments? Are you eating any foods that you thought was quote unquote healthy or good for you? And it's really, you think now maybe causing some kind of stomach upset? Are you somebody who is constantly experiencing stomach problems? If you're comfortable sharing your experience, I would love to know. And I would also love to give you an outside perspective, maybe an idea of something that might be causing it. But I think I give you a lot of ideas in this episode. So if you learn something, please share this with a friend, post it to your Instagram story and tag me. And I would always, always, always appreciate a 5-star review and a little bit of a comment about what you learn in these episodes and how you're enjoying it. Thank you guys so much for listening. Next week's episode, we are doing a little episode for lovers. We're going to talk about supporting your significant other. I may or may not get mine to do the episode with me. So if I do, I want to know what are your questions about. I don't want to just say for me and my relationship. I mean, yeah, fun questions are of course welcome, but what I see a lot of people struggle with is reaching a physique goal with their significant other. So I want to talk about how we can talk to our significant others about our goals and how we can support each other through it, because it I would struggle a lot more if my significant other didn't understand my lifestyle. And I think one of the big reasons why we work so well is because we have very similar beliefs and a very similar lifestyle. And that's okay if you don't, if you and your significant other don't maybe go to the gym together or don't eat the same foods, that's okay. But I'm going to give you tips how to help yourself succeed so that you guys can both succeed side by side. So next week is an episode all about love and support because it's Valentine's Day. All right, that's it, you guys. Thank you so much. I hope you're having an amazing day. Goodbye.